Hi guys, welcome to today's session of Every Mark Matters with me, Mr. McDonald's. Today we're having a look at Edexcel History Paper 2, Anglo-Saxon, Norman, England. We are going to get full marks on this today. I'm feeling really confident. We have got a really easy explain why question. Let's have a little look. So our question of the day is explain why the Normans built so many castles in England during William's reign. This came from 2023. It's an absolute dream of a question. Let's have a little go. To start with, what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at breaking up the exam question. So our first component is the command phrase. What that means is you must present 3 reasons. And then you're going to explain them. If you only do 2, you are capped at 8 marks. So you need 3. Right, let's continue. Right, so our focus of the question is... Well, it's why did he build them? Why did he build them? So it's the reasons why he built so many castles. Press pause, have a bit of a think, and annotate your word focus with how... as many reasons as you can about why you built so many castles or any facts you remember about them. Press pause, I'll see you shortly. Okay, right, let's go then. So, firstly, remember the reason why he built so many castles. Well, I think a great one is you could start with the March of Earldoms. These are earldoms that are created on the border of Wales. You know, it's by this point Wales is a totally different country. So the idea is that the Marcher Earls, they can build as many castles as they want because they need to protect England from Wales. So remember, these Marcher Earls, they have special powers. And one of those special powers is that they can build as many castles as they want. Right, let's go on to the next one then. So, thinking about our second element, the focus, is, well, we've got rebellions. Remember, these buildings are the biggest buildings that any of the Anglo-Saxons have ever seen before. They are not used to these types of buildings, and they're not used to a building of height. So, in essence, the idea is that they are designed to stop rebellions. And they're going to keep an eye on the Anglo-Saxons. And then our final reason, I mean there's loads more, but our final reason, really, what I would say, is to maintain his power. And how does he do that? Well, he does that with rewarding his followers. Oh, you just fought for me in the Battle of Hastings. Here's some land and here's some castles to live in. And so on. So again, you know, loads of great reasons there. You've probably got more than me. Let's move on to the second element and let's have a look at our second order concepts. So our second order concepts, again, you don't need to memorize these. This is not something you're going to be tested on ever. Second order concepts is basically how are you applying your knowledge. It's something called disciplinary history, and in this instance it is causation. And what that is how did something lead to something else. So how did your reason lead to William building castles? Alright, and you can use phrases such as this led to, and as a result. And again, a polite reminder, this is 12 marks, so you're going to do 3 paras, and you're going to spend 15 minutes writing this question. You are going to be assessed. Let me just put my success criteria down here. You are going to be assessed in AO1 and AO2. That is knowledge or facts, and that is explanation. And as always, what we're going for is we are going for level 3. Oh, I've cut off the top here. That was silly. And level 4. All right. And how do you do that? Well, it's simple. Your level 3 for knowledge, that is 2 facts per paragraph. Oh, per para. There should be a better space there, but never mind. And then level 4 for knowledge, that's 2 precise facts. Per para. And again, when we're thinking about explanations, level 3, that's basically 2 sentences of explanation. So every single paragraph has got 2 sentences of explanation. So that can be why, or how and why, or why is this important, why did this happen, and so on. All right, but for level 4, what we're going for is we are going for how, why, so what. And that's really easy trick to do. So again, we're doing about castles, so let's say we're talking about rebellions. So how did rebellions lead to William building many castles? Why did rebellions lead to William building many castles? So what? What is special about rebellions that meant that William needed to build castles across the country? This is an absolute peach of a question. I'm going to suggest to you right now spend 15 minutes having a go at explaining why the Normans built so many castles in England during William's reign. Press pause, set a timer, put your phones away. I'll see you shortly. Hello, welcome back. Okay, right, so I'm hoping that you spent 15 minutes there explaining why William built so many castles in England during William's reign. That is a 12-mark question, so you would have spent 15 minutes writing down 3 paragraphs. Let's have a go. I'm going to read out my answer because I'm really conscious of my ugly handwriting. Let's have a quick look then. So one reason why William built so many castles was because of the March of Earldoms. So whenever you present that, you are immediately presenting your reasons. So that's AO2. You're explaining it. Why did he do it? Well, he built that. It's because of the March of Earldoms. Now, let's have a little look at our knowledge. For example, the March of Earldoms were 3 earldoms along the border with Wales to protect his kingdom. The earldoms of Chester, Hereward, and Shrewsbury had special powers to build as many castles as they'd need to, as they'd have the responsibility of protecting William's new kingdom from Wales. Right. Okay. So I mentioned the fact that there's 3 earldoms, so there's a bit of AO1 plus, that's precise. Again, I've mentioned the fact that they were along the border of Wales. I've actually named what they are. So again, AO1 plus, and I've mentioned the fact that they had special powers. These earls, they had special powers to do, to build as many castles as they want and raise as many taxes as they want. So again, there is I've got 2 facts in each paragraph. Let's have a look at my how, why, so what. This meant castles were built all over the earldoms as they did not need William's permission to build castles. As a result, William's new kingdom was safer as he could now garrison his armies in these castles along the border. It would also allow him to demonstrate his power and authority as enemies to his enemies, whether they be Welsh or Anglo-Saxon. So again, there's my how. Where's my, as a result, there's my why. And this final sentence says my so what. So again, how did the March of Earldoms lead to building castles? Well, there were so many because they needed to protect William's new kingdom, but they could do it as many as they wanted, so they built as many as they wanted. Why did it lead to that? Well, it in essence made the country safer, didn't it? And what's special, well, it allows him to demonstrate his authority in these March of Earldoms, whether they be Welsh or Anglo-Saxon. Great first paragraph. Let's have a look at the next one. Another reason why William built so many castles was because of rebellions. Right, again, says my AO1. I know that William's new kingdom did not accept his authority immediately after Hastings, as rebellions led by Edwin and Morcar in 1068 and Edgar and Atheling in 1069 broke out to challenge William's rule. So again, you can see here, Precise fact there, look at that. And again, there's my first fact. Well, that should say AO2 there. There's AO1 for my first fact. I also know that William was I also know that the North, who traditionally lived under Danelaw, dislike outsiders' influence, and that many Anglo-Saxons supported Edgar's claim to the throne after Hastings. There's my second fact. I'm going to use Danelaw as my precise fact. Alright, and again, I'm going to use Edgar's claim as my precise fact as well. So again, you can see here, I presented my reason. I've got two precise facts. Let's have a look at my explanation. This led to William building castles as he needed to establish his authority over the Northerners and demonstrate his dominance. There's my how. How do rebellions lead to castles? Well, he needs to build them because he has to demonstrate his authority and dominance. As a result, castles became a useful tool. There should be a tool there. It shouldn't. Became useful to establish his authority as it allowed the Normans to watch over the Anglo-Saxons whilst giving the Anglo-Saxons a sense that they were being watched. So there's my why. This would be important in the long term because it reduced the likelihood of rebellions. And there's my so what. So again there, how, why, so what, presented two facts within the paragraph, and I presented a reason about rebellions, another great paragraph. Let's look at my final one. A final reason why William built so many castles was to reward his followers. After Hastings, William rewarded his followers by giving them lands or earldoms in order to keep his... that's a full stop there. In order to keep his followers safe, he built castles in their new earldoms. Changing in land ownership was important for William as it gave him the opportunity to stamp down his authority and reward his followers. Right, so here we go. So I've presented my first reason. So there's my AO2. This is my third reason. I presented my third reason. It's to reward his followers. Let's have a look at knowledge that I've put in here. In order to keep his followers safe. Right, so there's my first fact, AO1. Changing land ownership was important. There's my second fact, AO1. Not very precise, I'll admit to you, but... there are two facts in it. This led to castles as they allowed him to establish control of the Anglo-Saxons by acting as a very physical and public reminder of Norman dominance over the Anglo-Saxons. Right, so there's my how. This meant that William could use castles as a physical symbol of his power in the new earldoms. Remember, because I'm referring to changing land ownership. So if I just missed out that word new there, the examiner might be really prickly with us. But because I've made sure I've got the fact that it's a new earldom and the castles asserted the dominance in the new earldom, the examiner will be kind to us, whilst providing his followers with a place to collect tax, rent and store resources. There's my why. And then finally, this would be important as the castle would reinforce the status symbol of the earl as well. And there's my so what. So, Peach of a question, going back to my mark scheme, have I got two facts in every single paragraph? I absolutely have. Have I got two precise facts in every paragraph? Well, I have in the first two. I'm not necessarily sure in the final one. I think it's quite hard to maybe go with precise facts. I've defined a change in land ownership. I'm certainly going to do it for the first two. Have I done how, why, so what in every single paragraph? I have indeed. I'm not even going to waste our time by having a look at level 3. I've absolutely nailed that how, why, so what in that question. So if I just have a quick look here then. So in terms of my AO1, I might say, well, clearly I've done it for 2 paragraphs. I'm level 4. Maybe I'm a level 4 minus, maybe. Have I done my how, why, so what for AO2? I absolutely have. So therefore, I'm going to call this 11 out of 12. How do I get more? Just maybe precise facts in the third para, but it's not the end of the world. I would imagine that an actual examiner would give me 12 out of 12 for that. I'm just being really prickly with myself. But thank you very much for your time. I look forward to reading through yours that you've done at home, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. See you in a bit.